Hello and welcome, I am Geran and these are my last impressions of Spellcaster University. This is a game that I was going to do a first impressions on, but then I kept playing it and then I just couldn't bring myself to go back and edit the first impression stuff. Sorry about that, but I do want to talk about this game. In last impressions, they are sort of a review after I've played some more of the game. In this case, I've got about 27 hours. I got a little bit addicted to this I'm going to play this, 100% it, then never think about it again. I got this free on Keymailer, and I have begun a thing. Let's see where it continues me from. Okay, so the thing with this game is it's best played as a campaign. Quick play, you lose out most of what this game is about. The idea is you set up a university, and after a certain amount of time, this bar fills at the top, getting quicker and quicker as it goes. And that's when you have to leave. Here's the university. I just did a basic thing just to get through this because it sort of comes into its own on the second onwards. So once you sort of complete one, I started in the village, you then choose another location and you sort of rebuild it from scratch. As you go through the campaign, you get an advantage and a disadvantage, and I think I accidentally selected the advantage already. And these sort of group up as you go to add together. You get to choose various sort of starting things. I will go with this one. The problem with this game, it's a strategy game where you have to get the mana from teaching various kinds of magic. There's nature, light, alchemy, arcane or arcana. It varies depending on where you're reading it. And shadow. This is not in early access, just to point that out. And each one of these you start in pretty much the same way. You have to set up dormitories for these students to rest, somewhere for them to entertain themselves, somewhere for them to eat. And then you can also place classes. You set up houses, and although these seem to be going for a sort of, you can have them compete against each other, it does nothing apart from gives them a couple of features and allows you to determine which subjects they sort of prioritize, ignore, or just do. And this is already one of the big problems. These features, completely random. There are a pool of 30 or something that they can have here, and it is completely random what you're going to get. I found it best to focus on 2 subjects per university. Don't try and cover them all, apart from the very last level of the campaign where you need to win. So the idea is you go through this 6 and then the last one. And each of the 6 you sort of cover 2 different ones, so you eventually cover them all, and then in the last one you go and do all of them. But the thing is, because it's so bloody random, say, okay, well, I'm going to go with shadow for this one, and sure, athletic. You choose a uniform coloured, makes no difference, and you can change this later. You can also change the name, you just can't change the picture. So if I just go with, let's go with black, and, also black. But because of the UI, it's really awkward to get into the corner, because the UI has a bit of a problem. And let's go with red. But you can see here, look how tiny these buttons are. It's insanely tiny, the UI in this game. Anyway, once you've set a house, then you can sort of see it here, and you can change the subject, so let's focus on shadow, because it's Shadow Disciple, which means they learn shadow magic quicker. I can also rename it to, hey, why not, let's just rename it to Shadow. Wait, while I'm typing, it's moving this, because WASD moves the camera. Feels like that should have been fixed. Just to warn you, I'm not going to be very positive about this game. I played quite a lot of it, so I know all of its problems, and they far outweigh its bonuses. It's an incredibly annoying game. So, second one, and you can see that it's completely random, and Alchemy Apprentice has popped up again. So the logical thing in this case would be to focus on alchemy and forbid the rest, and have shadow as the sort of secondary one. The reason you have the 2 separate things is because each student has randomly assigned traits, which essentially are from the same pool that these are from, and therefore if they favour or are very bad at a certain subject, you put them into the house that best suits their ability. Then you get students, and as you can see here, it took me ages to work out what the 2 sort of lists were. These are positive traits, and these are negative ones. They also have an alignment and an intelligence and a money, and I have no idea what this means. That one explains it, and these are just really weird. each one has hunger, tiredness, and boredom. Hunger, they go to the refectory. Tiredness, they go to the dorm. Boredom, they go to the common room. And in this case, oh, he's good at alchemy, so I'll put him in the alchemy one. Alchemy again. Neither, so I'll just put him in shadow. Oh, shadow. And so on. So each of these has an effect, but there are so many. It throws so much at you. I just ignore everything else. I just go entirely off these because intelligence, there's nothing you can really do unless you chuck out everyone that's below normal intelligence, which is going to be like half your bloody student base. Then there's no point taking it into account. Same with these. You just can't account for them because there is so much random generation. This game is ruled by RNG. Even like the number of years that they stay there is completely bloody random. So you can see here, and you can like move them around, and you get a general class, which is essentially no inherent bonuses, but allows you to sort of change these. Again, there is statistics. Ignore it. It means nothing. You're going to get no bonus from reading this stuff. And then there's the headmaster's office, which is insane. Look, I didn't actually get a bonus this time. I think it bugged out. So there's the curse I got, but it's supposed to have given me a bonus, but it didn't, because that's a bug I didn't realise was in this. But this is really weird. You go here and you click this glowing green scroll, and you can change the rules. So you can change whether you get male or female ones. It makes no difference. Students don't have gender stated, so I have no idea what this is apart from for theming. There are all these other things, and they, from what I can tell, they do so little because of the immense randomness in this game. I normally just stick it on the most educated just so that I don't get ones who are just universally slower at learning the magic, and these I tend to just leave as they are. The next problem with the random element of this game is I have decided to focus on Shadow and Alchemy. So I need to have Shadow and Alchemy classes. Thing is, I can only get classes from the standard deck, which you use for goals. You've got quite a limited stock. Well, none of those are Shadow or Alchemy. That's no use to me. Let's go with the Psychologist then. Let's just stick him up here. Teachers have all of these stats as well. They've got alignments and so on. But you can't pick based solely on alignment because there's no guarantee that you will get anything that's good. They've all got like a teaching rate and a unionize, and I've no idea what this means. Okay, they will not make waves and their salary will stay low. What does that even mean? There are so many little variables in this, but because of the immense randomness, you can't account for it. So the only things I go off are the pedagogy and whether they have an advantage, which means you get extra points with factions. So in this case, it's a psychologist, so even pedagogy makes no difference, so I'll just go with that one, whatever, it doesn't matter. I managed to get an alchemy room this time, so that will begin to teach alchemy. I still haven't had a shadow one. I've got a light one there, but that's no use to me. I don't want to teach light, and I'm out of money. So my school is opening with no shadow class. I cannot teach shadow. I cannot gain shadow mana, which you use to gain shadow specific cards. So until I randomly get a shadow class in the standard deck, I will not be able to gain half of the things my school is for. Do you see the problem with this? Do you see why the immense randomness giving you such a narrow scope of things it'll actually let you do? You also get random things from the various factions. I'll use this to get a couple more students. Allergic to crustaceans means that they're bad at alchemy, so I'll put them in the shadow. But unless I get claustrophobia, which means bad at shadow, or allergic to crustaceans, then it doesn't matter. These all do have slight things, slight tweaks, but they're just not worth focusing on. Unless you get one like this, which means, yeah, there's no point putting that in shadow, because the thing you'll be focusing on, he'll be bad at. So just stick him in the other one. But apart from that, you just want to keep them balanced, because you can't get purely good students. You just don't get them. Every so often, you'll get new students popping up, dependent on your prestige, which is here in the bottom left, and then you play cards and you do various like events to improve your prestige. You also get like a free classroom from the king, and again, it's completely random. In this case, it has just happened to be shadow, as you can tell by the orange writing, and alchemy. Normally, it's completely worthless stuff, so in this case, I can actually get a shadow classroom, and stick it there. So now I will actually be gaining shadow and alchemy. So you can see the number in the bottom right, that's my shadow mana. That's slowly ticking up. And then once that reaches the threshold of 100, I will then be able to get a shadow card. At the beginning of each one, you also get the Adventurers Guild, and that lets you choose one of these, and they again give you 3 random bloody things. So let's go with blow up things, because that's the arcane and shadow, so this gives me demonology. So yeah, there are lots of chances for me to get something decent, but it's just so random. Yeah, show me 3 random things. And again, and none of these are of any use to me because they're not... Although that one has demonology, I'm not teaching portal magic, so that's no use to me. I'll get rid of that one, and it'll give me a bit of nature, but it's just not very useful. These ones always tend to be the same, which is good and bad. It's good in that it's one less thing that's random, but it's bad because... well, it doesn't cater to what you're actually doing still. In this case, you can get like an early boost of nature. See, that's another one where sometimes there's natural, sometimes there's nature. Natural or shadow, and you just have to sort of manage your relationships with stuff. In this case, I'll go for the nature, because nature is a good one just to get as standard, basically. You also have this, which is the guinea pig. And it is completely unexplained to begin with, but you eventually sort of get around it in the same way that Sims is obsessed with llamas, this game is obsessed with guinea pigs. So you use this to communicate with the other factions, and as you can see, they've got like a relationship bar, and positive things with them, send it up, and you get bonuses like lower teacher salaries or more arcane mana. And if they go down, you get negatives like less mana, or... students are less intelligent, etc. So you generally focus on the ones which give you bonuses for the things you're doing, which is Shadow from Lord of Evil and Alchemy, which isn't actually buffed by any of these. Like there's the Guild do Arcane, the Cemetery is Shadow, Inquisition is Light, Orcs are Nature, and no one does alchemy. Now you wait for a while, you continue to get your cards, so these, when you unlock a card, it increases the price by 50 mana, and then you get 3 random things from that deck. So these are 3 random alchemy cards. Well, none of them are classrooms, so if I didn't already have a classroom, which I sort of don't, I only have the basic one, none of these are particularly useful for early game. And yeah, you can sort of get ones like all-in-one cauldron that are useful for later, but I need classrooms early on. I don't need a prison. A prison is no use for me right now. There is so much in this game that it just throws at you with... the tutorial is absolutely useless, by the way. It is just, okay, this is what this is, 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 go have fun. It doesn't explain anything, it just throws a load of information at you. I basically know what I'm doing. I've just completed like half an hour ago, I completed the campaign on the hardest difficulty for the achievement for that. And the only achievement I'm still missing is, like, play the game on the Beltane Festival, which is the 1st of May. And, spoiler alert, I'm going to be changing my computer time to get that, because I'm definitely not going to keep this game installed until May. Nor am I going to install it again, because I'm going to get on with that whole forgetting it exists thing the moment I'm done. Nope, still no classroom. Ones like this, component supply, are useful because component cards you use to make potions, which are here. There are, I don't know, 6 ingredients, and then any combination of 3 will give you a potion, which will give you mana or some other buff. So they're generally good to put in. And as you can see, there are classrooms, or rooms rather, have various slots for stuff. So this is like an artifact. So you can put it on the wall, and then that room might get a bonus from it. This one is a cauldron, so that goes in refectories only, and the fawn is an animal who goes in ones that have animal slots only. But the thing is, apart from when you place the thing, as you can see, this is space for 3 animals and an artifact, there's no way to tell. So like, well, what does the Assassin's Arena hold? Well, I have no idea, because it doesn't say anywhere. Unless you've got the card in your hand, you can't see what you can put in there. And granted, when you're holding it, it shows you whether you can place it down or not, but it's still not telling you things. When you get a little bit into it, as you can see, we're in Winter of Year 1 in the bottom right, you start getting your objectives. And objectives are, again, surprise, surprise, completely random. And some of them are just literally undoable. So in this case, it wants me to have an archmage. You're not going to get an archmage on your first or second school in a campaign. You're only going to get it late on in the campaign, pretty much. Yeah, you can refuse them, so I'm going to refuse this one. There's flatly no chance of me getting an archmage. Still no classroom. Infernal Pact, sure. Let's get a teacher with an Infernal Pact, whatever. And still no classroom. Prison. Finally, a classroom. So when you get a duplicate of a classroom, you can either place a second one. Frankly, I don't know what bonus that is. Maybe you can teach more students at once. I've not found anything that says one way or another. I generally just place it on because then that increases the efficiency. You can also unlock these special bonuses. But generally, the higher the efficiency, the better it is. One of your objectives will always be a curriculum. And it took me, 3-4 games to work out what the hell this meant. And it's particular jobs. You see, your students, when they graduate, they're given a future. And what this says is your objective is to get the number in brackets, so 20 in this case, 12 and 12, to have the job of Inquisitor, Prince Charming, or Wizard Apprentice. Yeah, I'm going for Shadow and Alchemy, and it just so happens that 2 of these do actually involve alchemy, but that one involves light magic, the yellow one, Heroism, and that one is just pure light. These are again completely random. It doesn't think, well, you've got a classroom for Shadow and a classroom for Alchemy, I guess I'll show you Shadow Alchemy ones. No, it's just completely random, so if it just rolls the dice and shows ones that you don't have the classrooms for, you're just not going to complete the objective. You just flatly cannot do it. And yeah, you can respec, but in my experience, if you don't get the classroom down within the first 2 years, you're not going to get anywhere with it. So I guess I'll go with Enchantment, because that is literally the only one of these 3 that I can do. Not that I actually have the Enchantment, because I still haven't had a single classroom from the Alchemy deck. You also get animals like the dragons. There's a dragon for each subject, and they just improve it slightly, so they're generally worth getting. So they take an animal slot and so on. And you can continue buying from the standard deck to get things like dormitories and teachers' lounges and refectories, as well as sort of general improvements. The fact that it's all random, this is my biggest thing. This is the biggest thing about this bloody game. It is all completely random. The things you get that pop up, if you just happen not to have the stuff, you're screwed. It's given me a school specialty. So this always seems to be the exact same. It always shows Arcane, Light, Alchemy, and Nature. This is another objective. You just have to get 8,000 mana of one of these. And whichever one you pick, if it's one that you're actually teaching in the school, you will almost certainly complete. Shadow is not here. Why does it never have Shadow here? It's just saying if you're having a Shadow-only school, that's the second objective you just flatly cannot complete. So in this case, I'll go for Alchemy, because that's the one I'm actually doing. And they appear here. So there's Wizard Apprentice, Alchemy, and then it'll eventually give me another option for the third objective. But you can see, because I have an actual Shadow class, finally a second class, the Crypt, because I've got the Assassination Arena, and the Demonic Chamber, so I've got 2 classes of that, and only the 1 Alchemy class. You can see how much more Shadow I'm getting. And that's why I say that if you don't get the class within the first 2 years, you're just not going to be able to get anywhere with it, because it has quite an exponential increase. That's already up to 395, whereas that's 200. That should be 400, don't worry about that. With your potions, you get these. These are the components randomly generated by the component supply, and you just stick them together like that, and it'll give you a thing. So in this case, these are always seem to be the same, and it's very rare that I actually check this. I generally just stick whatever I get together, because you can only hold like 10 cards before it starts doubling back. And it just gets really awkward. So I generally use them pretty much as soon as I get them. And it's only once in the entire 27 hours that I carefully looked for a particular thing, and that's because if I didn't get a one particular potion, then the random number generator would kill me. Finally, enchantment. So I finally got an alchemy classroom. So it's enchantment, which is the one I need for the Wizard Apprentice future. So that's probably the best one I could have got. but it's just so random, this entire game. You also get banners which allow you to improve relationships sort of passively, and ideally you want to get the relationships with pretty much everything high. The Royal Bastion, the King is good for slowing down this, because as you can see that's already like, what, fifth of the way, quarter of the way? And that's in year 2. So you do have to actively suppress that in order to stop it from just dominating. In fairness, I do have this on a high speed. You choose the speed at the beginning of the game. I went for a short one to try and make my point a bit quicker. I generally play this on like pretty much the slowest speed, just because then it actually feels like a game and not just a quick thing that's coming and going. Classrooms, like you saw there, just randomly burst into flames. You also get random portals. I have no idea what causes them. They just seem to slow everything down, and you can like get benefits to get rid of them quicker, and potions to just get rid of them on the spot. It's weird that certain things are just like locked behind certain magics, like Janitor Lodge. Oh, it's linked to shadow magic because you need to seriously dark temper to scare off students. That's just arbitrary. The library is behind alchemy for some reason. I think the infirmary is in the light deck, and it means that if you want to have an actual sort of well-rounded school, you do have to go through all 5, even if you don't want to teach the subjects. Here's another objective. This one's a fairly easy one. 10,000 gold coins. Yeah. That said, I don't know the point of objectives. I've played a lot of this game. I've played through the campaign 3 times. I don't know what the objectives do. I've not seen that they give you any kind of bonus in other games, so I have no idea. But this is the central point of this entire game, basically. This is when your students graduate. So I've got 6 graduating, or 7, because this one plus 6 others. And this allows you to sort of randomly roll for their future. First things first, there is a typo on this page. You know, the page that is the central point of this entire bloody game. There is a typo on it. That just shows how stupid Sorry, this game really gets to me. And in this case, the reason it's 100 is because Wizard Apprentice is the one I need for my objective. It just so happens that Wizard Apprentice is one of the easiest ones to get. Normally they're really high-end ones. But that means if it's the one you need for your objective, it's 100% chance. But Wizard Apprentice, wow, this one is an easy one. But here you can see that it's got a much more sort of even split. And the idea is, Undertaker, that's not a very good one. That's like quite low here, but Minion just gives you more shadow mana, so it's generally a good idea to re-roll. See, I got the Minion, which is just 150 instead of 50 shadow mana. You get Prestige, depending on how good it is. It's almost always 1. There are some that are 2, and I think there's 1 Minstrel that's 5. Peasant or Dead, you get -1, etc. So you don't want sort of bad fates. Thing is, automated futures, never click this, unless it's the very last one of the thing where it doesn't matter. But, like, what is the point of this? Why would I want to look at his thing? Go away. Oh. Wow. I've never even seen this before. Yeah, okay. So if you click view, and then click the X, it's just gone. And then you hide it to just get this back. It's so stupid, this game. It's so poorly designed. Anyway, the point is that you go through and you accept or reroll fates, and you try and get the best situation you can. A lot of the fates affect more than one game, which is why I say that this game comes into its own with the campaign, where you have sort of cumulative things. It's almost a bit like a roguelike, in that you have cumulative things which affect the rest of this one run. And the main point of this game is that you keep generating mana to continue to improve your classes, like so. Oh, random portal opened up there. To improve the efficiency and therefore get better futures for the students. This is like a management strategy game, and it is almost entirely randomly generated. You cannot really strategize. The only strategies you can really do are sticking to a certain class and If it just happens to roll the random stuff to favour a different class, you're fucked. I'm sorry, but there's just nothing you can do. The futures that are rolled are dependent on the classes, so because I've got Assassination, Wendy Penalto, so there should be a space there, is an assassin, and you can see the... Oh, I see, because I pressed the X on that one like 5 minutes ago, it's now never going to show me another student file. Brilliantly designed game. And as you can see, as I get the Wizard Apprentices, it's filling up, so that's 6 out of 20, and then once I've got 20, it gives me the gold star, and makes no difference whatsoever. Certain rooms with their upgrades allow you to sort of change the students, either give them or take away certain things, so like rehabilitation means that any student imprisoned will lose bully, antisocial, and aggressive, which are, let's see if I've got any, we've got an aggressive. Their insults makes targeted students lose much more sanity. Okay, when do they interact? Is there any way to stop them from interacting? Apart from having a prison, what difference does this make? Because it's like imagine a box full of really bouncy balls, and like you write on one of the bouncy balls the letter G, and then you throw it into the thing with 30 other balls, shake the box around. Does it matter which one has G on it? No, because it's so many random elements bouncing together that it just makes no difference. You also get, like, graffiti, like someone's drawn the anarchy symbol there, and the janitor. Do I have a janitor? I do, yes. Literally his entire thing is cleaning up graffiti. I don't know what graffiti does. It looks like it reduces the efficiency, but it doesn't actually tell me that. It's just got minus efficiency, and I assume that's because of the graffiti. This game also has filters that allow you to see the cleanliness and health and boredom. These are completely worthless. Like, what difference does it possibly make which students are doing well at light? It's going back to the bouncy ball comparison. It doesn't matter which balls have G written on them, because there are so many, and they're bouncing around in such a space that it just makes no difference. If you had more control over them, then maybe it would matter. I'm now up to 13 Wizard Apprentices. This is the easiest curriculum objective I've ever seen. Normally they're so difficult to achieve, but because Wizard Apprentice is such an easy one, all you need is a very, very basic enchantment workshop, and you're just going to get all of those. But again, it makes no difference. Like, what does it matter? I assume the objectives are solely to give you some direction. It's just so bizarre that it tracks them with such importance. Like on the campaign map, it shows you how many you got on each one. You can't replay them. So it's just, hey, on this one you rolled poorly. Lol. Right, let's trigger an attack. So the troll, each map has like a special faction that you communicate with. Some of them are better than others. The troll is just one that you have to just leave him asleep. If he ever reaches minus 100 like this, you, because he is now on minus 100, he will do something mean. Here's the mean thing. He sends orcs to attack you, it doesn't really matter, but this is something that happens. You can get attacked by enemies, orcs or undead or pirates, it varies by the map and by the situation. Here they come, look. You can't control your students. So they attack whoever is at the entrance. First time this happened, they murdered about 3 students because they were just... One wandered over to them, got beaten to death, another one wandered over and got beaten to death, and then a third, before, they wandered into an area with more than one person who just murdered them all. But in this case, look, they're just beating them all to death because there are so few of my guys at the entrance. Whereas if I now... Let's see, only one person, because I've got such a low prestige. But, like, when you have a load of new people, they will just wander in and join the fight. Why have attackers if you have no way of controlling your defenders? It is just okay, we're just going to roll a dice and kill some of you guys now. Oh no, hang on, you happen to have 30 people who just happen to be wandering through the entrance all of that time. You killed all of the attackers with no problem. There is no strategy to this sort of thing. I lost so many guys then. Finally, one that actually has a lingering effect. Ones that give you mana, they don't have any effect beyond this one particular university. But ones that give you a percentage boost like this, all new students have 1% chance of having the worker trait, which makes them learn 10% quicker. This will stick for the remainder of my run. So any future universities in this campaign, they will all have this as a thing. And it continues to add up. So if you have 100 librarians over the course of a campaign, then it has a plus 100% chance. And note that isn't a 100% chance, that's just a plus 100% chance. So, for example, if it had a 3% chance by default, plus 100% chance, it then becomes 6%. I assume that's the way it works. It's not explained anywhere, but I assume that's how it works. The only way you can keep the Lord of Evil's power from going too high is you can go to the king and ask him to fight back, and it reduces your relationship with him, but also reduces that by a percentage. So throughout the level, you're supposed to sort of keep in touch with the various factions, but there's a cooldown on the contacts in them, which you can reduce by getting the guinea tower, or the pig tower I think it's called, in the nature deck. But if you don't have nature, then you're just stuck with a very slow communication network. Because I'm not trying particularly hard with this one, I've got such a low prestige, I've got only 20 students. Normally I can get a prestige up to about 200 if I'm actually trying, and that allows me to have 150 students around there. But that's why it's just too many bouncing balls for you to pay attention to. Warlock increases demonology learning rate by 1%. So if you sort of go with this, then you can get a really, really high learning speed with particular classes. So that will only affect learning in the demonic chamber, more or less, or anything that increases the demonology skill. There are some other ways of doing it, like artifacts, posters you can hang on the wall, certain items and stuff that you can place around your university to improve demonology skill, and it increases it by 1%. So again, if you just get loads of warlocks, it will increase that so that all you have to do is place one of these. And I think that's increasing this number, but I don't know, because it's 30% from this, but I don't know where the other 7% is coming from, because it doesn't tell you. It has random elements, and it doesn't tell you what the other elements are. So I can select the teacher, but class went well today, class went today, students are fairly calm these days. I don't know why it does the things it does. This is a really weird game that they decided, right, we're going to have a strategy game based on running a university, and I thought it was going to be a management sim, a business sim, but no, it is a random number generator that pretends to be a strategy game. So when it's finished, it ends, it says let's not waste any time, and then you can go through all of your students. They all graduate immediately, and it gives you a last chance to improve your odds for the rest of the campaign. The idea being you re-roll any that give you a static bonus like Master Assassin, and instead go for ones that give you bonuses that stick around like Magician Prince. And you go through, you do all of these, you re-roll until you get stuff that carries over. You can pretty much get anything on this list by the percentage chance it says, and that is one level, essentially. Am I supposed to micromanage these? Am I supposed to micromanage? You can rename all the students. I mean, I can't now because it's, the end of the level. But you can rename the students, and there's a bit of humour to be gained from Mr. Happy has become an Undertaker. Lol, it's ironic. But apart from that, what is the point? What is the point of giving all of this micromanagement? Like, oh, they learn better from a chaotic teacher, and they learn better from a neutral teacher. You're not going to find a chaotic neutral teacher and put only chaotic neutral students in there. It is just more random elements being chucked into this box of bouncy balls and dice. And you shake the box up, and then you pour the box out, and it's like, well, you got 5 7s, a G, and 3 middle fingers. That means you get these bonuses and these negatives for the next round. And that is what this game is. It is a box of middle fingers and dice. And yeah, you finish, you go on to the next one, you pick a different place. That one has zombies and lowers your health. That one has dwarves and fires happen. And that's all this game is. And I don't rate it very highly. This is not a well-made game. It is not a good idea. Campaign is crap. The random elements make it so that it's barely a strategy game. And those are my last impressions. I don't really know what I was doing with this video. I was trying something a bit different. Let me know if you liked this. Let me know if you thought I was being too harsh or too nice, perhaps. Let me know if there are other games that I've covered that you think I could do last impressions on. And let me know if you want to see any particular games for first impressions. Wait, demonic portals and setting fires are a misbehaviour thing? That is literally the first time I discovered this in like 30 hours of play. Whatever. I don't care. Remember that if you want to have your say on future first impressions, please consider pledging to my Patreon linked in the description. This was Spellcaster University, and I will catch you later.